Let Lita take you on a journey of faith, life, travel, and interior design. Take your life out of the status quo. Status Life with Lita is brought to you by Status Home Design and the shops at Status, and by the law office of Derek M. Hayes at 404-777-HURT.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Status Life with Lita on Business RadioX. We are broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett Studio in the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. Lita has over 20 years working as an interior designer. She's now a full-fledged lifestyle expert, podcaster, and blogger. Status Life with Lita will take you on a journey of faith, life, travel, and interior design. Lita's mission is to bring her knowledge and fun teaching ability to each of us to help us design a life we love. My name is Derek Hayes. I'm the host of the show, and it's my pleasure to introduce the star of the show, Miss Lita Brooks.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Lita.
Good afternoon.
See, I said Lita.
You're getting better. We've only been doing this show 14, 15, 16 months. You're getting it.
Yeah, but Lita still sounds better. Lita. Okay. All right, anyway, before we begin, a quick reminder that Status Life with Lita is brought to you by Status Home Design, your one-stop shop for all your home and gift needs, the Status Market, your online shopping experience, and the law office of Derek M. Hayes. Injured in Georgia? Make the right call to the law office of Derek M. Hayes at 404-777-HURT.
Hi.
Hey, you ready?
Yes.
All right, before we get into the show, let's kind of do a quick rundown or recap of some of the things that have been going on
of
in our
life.
lives.
Yeah, we're so busy.
The engagement.
We got engaged. Yay!
Which is wonderful, but yet we have yet to sit down and plan anything.
We haven't talked about anything, and people keep asking, so when's the day? What are you going to do? No idea. I mean, you and I have not even kind of discussed it.
No. I actually ran into a good friend of ours just last night. I told you that. And the first thing she said to me is, what are the plans?
Right, because now it's been long enough that we should have some decisions made.
Should.
I don't even, yeah.
But it's also, too, as always, the matter of time and just sitting down and being able to kind of hash these things out.
Yes. Yes.
So there's a lot to discuss about that. But anyway, next topic would be the house. We're getting some things done around the house.
We are. We finally have some momentum. We've talked about the house. We bought our forever home, and it's a huge remodel. We're gutting it. We're working on it. But I am going to be putting all of it on Status Life with Lita. Not necessarily the podcast, because you guys can't really see. I can talk about it, but that doesn't make sense if you can't see the colors in a room. But it will be on YouTube, the Instagram, the stories. Really following the design and how all this is coming together. I've been taking videos along the way, so it's honestly time. It's content creation. So not only is it doing the work, but taking it and giving it all to you guys. So that is all in the works. And of course, we will launch it all here. You will hear it first.
We've already had framers, sheetrock, flooring. We've had a wall taken out. We've had electricians. We've had, landscaping work done.
Yes.
And we have stonework still going on, or to
and
be
painters.
Going on.
We have more. We have a lot of furniture that's been back ordered, sort of sign of the times right now, just because we can't get a lot of the merchandise. But we went full steam for about a month?
Yeah,
2
right
months.
When we first moved in,
and
there were a lot of things we had
to
do.
Right, before we could even move in. And then everything came to a screeching halt. And that was because I took 50% of my retail store and closed it and renovated it. And Derek and I basically did all the work ourselves.
We did. We painted. We did flooring.
We did. We were up till 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning, just working on it. And then we would go to work the next day. We we're very hands-on. It saved a lot of money. I mean, this is a shopping center, so I don't own the space. So to have all these contractors come in was a huge expense. I mean, the flooring came in at, I think the flooring quote was, what did I tell you, $40,000 or something for a space I don't own, which is a really tough thing. I'm speaking to the entrepreneurs out there who are all shaking their head. You do not put that kind of money in a business that you don't own.
Yeah, overhead can kill you.
Yes, the building, the shell itself, not the business. So anyway, so that was all. We did the huge grand reopening in March, and then, I had to run the business. It was a whole different business model. It's up and running. It's thriving. It's doing well. We're finally getting all the shipments of all the merchandise we've ordered. So that is called the Status Market and Design. In conjunction with Status Home Design. So all my businesses are Status. I am the Status platform. But the Status Market is my online store. It is housed in the space that I'm just explaining to you, that I am talking about. So we are located just outside of Atlanta, up I-85 in Gwinnett County, exit 120 if you live in Metro Atlanta. But if you don't live in Atlanta and you want to see the merchandise and you want to purchase, we have an online store, and we are doing a huge revamp on that, launching on July 1st. So live sales are coming back, where we take all the merchandise and we show you how to decorate with it, and then you can purchase it all online. The interior designers, everything that my whole team is doing, we will show you all the pictures of. You can buy all that online. So we have a lot in the pipeline.
Speaking of a lot in the pipeline, do you want to go ahead and tease or share with everyone the next phase?
Yeah, we have found a location for another store. So we are still branching out. The Status brand is still growing. This store is going to be closer to Athens, so a little closer to where we moved. So we will have one store located in Metro Atlanta and one store located in Metro Athens. Can I say that?
Yes.
Yeah,
you
it's
can
in
say
Watkinsville. So it's a
Right.
cute little town. It's a beautiful home, big home. It's been a retail store. When you think of a home, maybe you think on a little smaller scale. This is not. This is a beautiful
1800s.
late 1800s, I think the home was built. It's been renovated. It's been up to code. It is completely handicap accessible, which is huge, because if I had to take a home and put all those modifications in, that would be a lot. But because it's been multiple businesses, it's ready for me.
Yeah,
so,
it's right in downtown Watkinsville. Wonderful location.
So August, we are going to start moving in. We have a month to really get everything set up and get it the way we want it for a September of 2021 opening. So no matter when you're listening to this, because podcasts live forever, both stores should be up and running and go to the market. So take a look at all my merchandise, Status Market and Design on Facebook, the website, and Instagram.
It's going to be
And YouTube, yes.
great launch of the new store. I'm looking
So
forward to it.
excited. I know.
As always, you put on a big party for those kind of
I
things.
do. Be a big party.
All right, let's get into today's show.
Today's
we
show.
have a wonderful
So
guest, and I want
Yes.
you to have the honor of introducing her.
Thank you. Today I have the beautiful, one of my most favorite souls that I've ever met on this planet. Her name is Kwavi. And Kwavi, I'm going to stop right there because I can't even begin to pronounce your last name. So welcome to the show, and jump on here and tell us your full name.
It's Kwavi Agbeyegbe.
She gave me a training session before you
Then
got
you
here.
say
And
it.
he did well.
Agbeyegbe.
Agbeyegbe.
He got
Agbeyegbe.
it.
Kwavi Agbeyegbe. I
love
practiced
it.
it for a little bit.
Thank you,
so-
Derek.
And I love your last name, but I feel like your first name is kind of like mine. It stands alone.
Yes, it
you
does.
are Kwavi.
Actually, I'm Kwavi. You're
Kwavi.
right. That's it.
You are, yes.
Like
It's like
Cher,
Cher. Or see, we're so
Like Cher,
connected.
like Madonna.
But
Yeah,
yes,
one name.
That's all you need. And your website is www.kwavi.com.
That's right.
Kwavi.
That's right.
Yes, and after this show, you're going to get flooded because we have so much information to give all of our listeners. I'm just super excited about this show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and before we get into the topic and really the discussion that we want to have today, I want you to talk about, both of you collectively, talk about how you met.
Yes. So
Which I
that
think
was
this is a cool
exciting,
thing.
wasn't it? All right, Kwavi, you go first.
It was. We met at the Best Self Over 40 photo shoot.
Over 40 and fabulous. You
Over
gotta leave
40
that-
and
Oh, yeah. I
fabulous.
have to add the fabulous.
Yes.
Over 40 and fabulous. And the photo shoot, it was amazing. We all connected, and we didn't even know each other before that day. But we made so many connections with one another, and that's why I know her today.
That's
From
right.
That single meeting.
That's
yeah.
it. Yes. Go ahead,
The
Derek. What are you trying to
criteria,
say?
though, for the over 40 and fabulous, women or men who inspire others, who are entrepreneurs, who are involved in charitable organizations, there's a significant, I guess you could say, litany of things that you have to be able to show in your life to even qualify to be a candidate to be voted on. And you all were voted on. You were in the top 15, which is terrific. Published in the magazine, Best Self magazine.
Yes.
And I was there. It was a great reveal party when they did everyone. They had a big party to celebrate all of you that were involved in the magazine. And the
Yeah.
photo shoot was great. The magazine was terrific. So I've kind of lived vicariously through Lita and gotten to know all of you.
Yes. You've met a lot of the girls by now.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's the wonderful part about it, because I don't know that our paths would have crossed. they might, as I'm aging, and I may need a coach, which
Right.
is, brings you to me. But we all met, and it's been such a wonderful experience just to make so many great friends. Everybody is so wonderful and so supportive. It's like the just that tribe of
Yeah.
people, the men and the women in it. Everybody just wants to build each other up. They want to support anything anybody does. Everybody shows up. I can't explain it. I wish everybody had a tribe like that.
So true. And it's been 2 years, right?
Yeah, for us. We
us,
were
yeah.
2019, but a lot of the girls in the group have, it's almost like I want to call it a sorority, but we can't
Yeah,
leave the men out.
I know.
An organization.
Yeah.
A club.
Yeah, because the 2020 winner was
Yes.
a man.
Yes,
Yeah,
true,
so see,
true.
there are the men. Maybe they just don't show up. They're not as connected as all the girls.
Yeah.
They're not
we
on the
connect.
threads.
We connect for
and-
birthdays
Uh-huh.
and support each other for different business endeavors. I mean, it's been amazing.
Right.
The support.
It really has, which brings you here today.
Yes.
So thank you for taking time out of your day for the show and for our listeners. We appreciate it. All right. You have a very large resume with a huge platform, and I know you wear many hats, and we're going to cover all of those hats today. We're going to dig right in. But I want you to give our listeners an overview of your background and a little bit about yourself.
All right. So my name is Kwavi. I'm married to a wonderful man.
Dr. Agbeyegbe.
Dr. Agbeyegbe. I call him my king. And I have 2 boys, 18 and 15. And what I do, like my day to day, apart from, running my family, is I am a life coach for women 50 and over. And my goal really is to help women live their best lives on their own terms without apologies. So I help them create that. I also offer retreats for women all over the world, which I absolutely love. And I'm also passionate about preventing sex trafficking. So I'm highly involved in that on a, regular basis. So I do that also. Yes.
And we're going to dig in. I can't. Oh, that's a lot of. They're all related, but that's many, many hats.
Yes.
And I know you stay busy and you go all the time.
And I love
right?
it.
I know. All right, but first and foremost, I think what got you into this, the little bit I know, is helping women over 50 and teaching them about self-care. And this is
Yes.
really interesting too. This is very informative. So let's talk about what you see in women over 50. What begins to happen in our 20s, 30s, and 40s that makes self-care in our 50s so important?
All right. So for a lot of women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, they are just going. It's like they're giving so much to others. If they're married, they're giving to their spouse. If they have kids, they're giving to their kids. And then if they're, they have a career or a business, they're giving all of that. And so they really don't place a priority on themselves. And then when they hit 50, it's almost like they look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, who am I? It's like they can't even recognize themselves. And the reason for that is they've morphed themselves into different personalities to fit whoever needs their care. And they haven't really focused on themselves. And so they get to this point and they're like, is this it? It's almost like, there has to be more, but they don't even know where to begin or how to start.
And I think a lot of it can be, let's say you focused everything that you had on your family, and then all of a sudden your kids are in college, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, now what? All the time, all the sports, all the attention, all the cooking, the dinners, all of that. So that sort of homemaker, stay-at-home mom, whatever you want to call it, that role has diminished, and they're sitting there saying, okay, now what do I do? Or if maybe that is their role and they haven't been in the workforce. And so the homemaker role is gone, but they haven't kept up with certifications or skill or educations, and they feel very lost. Okay, now what? What do I do with all my time?
Yeah.
My kids are grown and gone.
And that is so true. And the other thing, too, which is interesting, I read some research on this, was most divorces happen in this time of life also. And so you have women who have been married for a really long time, and all of a sudden they find themselves single. And that is really just foreign to them, because all this while they've been married and their life has really centered around, being a couple, and all of a sudden they're alone. If they have kids, the kids are probably older and have left home, and so they're alone. And they're like, how do I even begin to navigate this new phase of my life?
Wow. I know when we were discussing this and talking about the show, you used the word, and it has stuck with me. I keep thinking about it, invisible. That we get to this age, and if this has happened, we just kind of sit in a place where we feel invisible.
Yeah. I actually did, just before I turned 50, I did a series of interviews with women who were already in their 50s. And 80% of the women I interviewed described themselves as invisible.
Really?
I'm serious. And it was heartbreaking to even, I mean, who would want to describe themselves as invisible? There is no human on the planet.
Not at all.
I agree not everyone wants to be visible. You know, some people want to be like front stage visible, maybe middle of the road visible, or backstage visible. No one wants to be invisible. And so it put me on this path where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make it my mission to help women discover themselves so that they can evolve to their best selves and live their best life in their 50s and over.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
That is. And now I'm the guy on the outside looking in. And so I understand what you're saying. I can think of many examples of people I know that can qualify for those different categories. And there's likely depression and anxiety and things like that. They're connected directly to
for sure.
that issue.
Yeah.
So if you're invisible, lacking purpose.
Yes.
Right? What else, what other emotion are you going to have besides this very, very, very low, view of yourself, low self-esteem? I don't know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it, right? This is what we're seeing in women. This is what's going to happen. So we're speaking to the girls, 20s, 30s, I'm in my 40s, and just it's sort of the warning of watch out, right?
Yeah.
That this doesn't happen to you. And we're going to give some of the self-care advice, some of the self-care tips for the women who are 50 and for those of us who are aging, because we can't stop that process.
We can't. And the other area that is probably huge in that same age is menopause. And so they're going through that change also. So that changes everything for the women also. So they have a lot of life transitions going on at the same time. And some of them not so positive. So it's hard for them to navigate that path.
I think, too, with menopause and the hormones.
Right.
I mean, they
That's
would be,
it.
whoo,
Yeah.
So maybe you're divorced, maybe you're not, but maybe you're just all over the board and you're
Right.
invisible, which, I mean, that would be no purpose. I can't even imagine. I don't sit in this pocket personally. I'm a go. I'm an entrepreneur. I have the
Right.
career. I mean, there's, I struggle with other things, but this is fabulous. I guess my eyes were really opened, even in talking about this. How prevalent? 80%.
80%.
That's huge.
So
That
am I
is.
wrong to say selfless people pleasers? The vast majority?
Oh, for sure. People pleasers across the board. Yeah.
That's
without a
mostly
doubt.
the women
I
that
can
you're
see
seeing
that.
that sit in this
Oh,
spot
oh,
are the
yes.
ones that would say I'm a people
For
pleaser.
sure. Yeah.
Which can lead to them thinking that they're taken for granted and therefore invisible on many levels.
Yeah. And now everyone else is gone. So it's like I gave all of this, and then resentment starts to kick in. Like, what about me?
Right.
Okay. All right. So we've broken apart what happens. How do we begin to turn this around?
So the first thing is to recognize what's going on, because for some of them, they don't even know what's going on. It's like they just kind of go, because think about the way the brain is designed. The brain is designed to keep us safe. The brain is designed to be efficient. So when you think about those two things, it's going to go with whatever you've been doing in the past. So when you want to do something new, the brain is going to be like, oh no, we're not doing that. No, we're going with the same old, same old. So for someone who has been in that phase, they're not even going to even know there's anything wrong. They just think, okay, this is just how it's supposed to be. And because so many women go through it and think that's the way it's supposed to be, they kind of go with it. And then society doesn't help. Oh my, we live in a youth-obsessed society that really has no regard for women 50 and over. I mean, the stats show that. And so if they're buying into that narrative and they're feeling alone and invisible, they're going to keep doing that unless it's addressed. And for a lot of them, they don't even know. However, what I do as a life coach is I help women rediscover themselves in this age. And one of the first things I do is, let's talk about your self-care practices. And for most of them, they have none.
Derek?
Yeah, this is the point where everybody starts looking my way, because I am, of course, the guy here at the table, and I will say that me personally and most men tend to be the ones that kind of lose the self-care aspect of their life, especially as I get older.
Yes.
And I don't want to go down that path yet, but I'm sure will at some point in this show, because I can already feel the pressure.
No, it's okay. I just looked
hot
at him
seat.
because when you're talking about that, my mind, I know him better, right?
Yes.
We're engaged. So,
Right.
and I understand. But the point is, we keep saying women, women, women. And you primarily focus on women, which is your platform, and that's wonderful. But as is some of the other health shows that we've done, it was extremely eye-opening how much of this relates to the men as well.
I agree.
So,
I know it relates to them for sure.
oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. So even for us at the table, I practice self-care. I love it. I know the importance of it. I get it. But nothing, zero. So we'll dive into what each of us do here in a minute.
You can't see this,
right?
but she is pointing at me again, as
Yeah.
usual. But
All right. So we start with the self-care. You've got someone in front of you. Let's say it is your one-on-one coaching.
Yes.
You start breaking down. Give me through that process. All right.
Yeah.
So you've got someone, they're broken, they're in their 50s, they need your help. Get us a little further in the process.
Yeah. So the first thing I really ask them is, what is it that they want? Because that's where we first start with. Is it like the relationship area they want to work on? Is it their personal relationships with themselves? Because to be honest with you, probably 80% of the time, that's where we begin. Because for a lot of them, they don't even love themselves. And so starting from that self-love and self-compassion, that's where we begin. And then I start to ask them, what is it that you truly love? Like, what lights you up? Because I know there's something. And sometimes we go back to so as a child, what were some of the things that you loved to do? And you can see their faces light up because they can relate to that. Because for a lot of them, 20s, 30s, and 40s were just like a blur. And so I'm like, what did you like as a child? And then we can kind of go from there. And then we start to say, okay, let's take baby steps. Because with women at that point, if you do too many things, it's just overwhelmed for them. So we just like, okay, let's pick one or two things that we can do and make it consistent. Because the brain loves consistency. Like the brain rewards you when you're consistent. So I'm like, okay, let's do these. Let's make it consistent. And then we can go from there. And that's kind of how I walk them to that path. Yeah.
So what if a woman, it's a hypothetical, but I can imagine this being very prevalent for a lot of women. What if it's weight? What if they said, my relationship is great, my husband and I are fine. It's not that, yes, my kids have gone, but in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I've gained about 10 pounds every year, and now I'm in menopause and it won't come off. Do you find that? Because that would cause depression and that would cause low self-esteem.
Oh, yes, that does. Because a lot of women, when they get to this age, their bodies are changing. And it's like, regardless of who you are, our bodies change at that age. Because we're menopausal, we have hormones, so the shape of your body kind of changes a bit. So, and you add weight to that, it's like, okay, what's going on? And so with women, like one of the things I always ask women to do when they get to that stage, before we even tackle the weight, is there are 5 foods I tell them to pay attention to. Typically, as you get older, there are 5 food sensitivities that most women are affected by. Gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol, and caffeine, those 5. And we start from there. Because those 5 types of food, even if you had a great love affair with them in the past, I'm telling you, when you get to 50, well, I'd say late 40s, it changes. And a lot of them, I'm like, you're just going to have to break up with some of those items. And then and then I tell them to start to see the correlation. Like, when you eat dairy, what do you notice? And for some of them, they have a disconnect from their body, so they don't pay attention. And so this is the work that they have to do. And some of them are like, you know what, I do realize that whenever I have dairy, I feel bloated. But they never really saw the connection. And so I get them thinking like, and then maybe caffeine, they start to do caffeine. They're like, you know what, I just realized I don't really enjoy my sleep anymore. Or if I have caffeine after 2, all of a sudden, I'm like, I can't sleep. But if I have it around 10 or 11, I'm fine. And so they start to see the correlation.
Wow.
That all makes sense.
It absolutely does. And it's, yes. So
Well,
I'm
not
like,
just- not
yes,
just for women,
all
but
those
I'm-
5 things. And when you did the list, I'm like, I love all 5 of those things. But I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm 44, and the weight is not moving. It's not. It is stuck. And this is not about me and my weight. This is a show. But
Correct.
again, everyone's listening, and I guarantee you, their ladies are in the car, or they're walking, or you listen to a podcast, and they're nodding like, yes. And a lot of us know. Maybe if I
Right.
didn't have that wine at night, that's all calories. People say, that one glass of red wine, it may be good for you, but not every night.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and in your 20s and 30s, it was okay. You could have all kinds of things in your 20s. And and I always tell women, think about in your past. You could even do stuff on the weekend, and all of a sudden the weight would just drop off. You hit your late 40s and 50s, not so much.
I always make the joke, I could look at my running shoes and the weight would come off.
Oh, yeah.
And now I just ran, was it 2 Saturdays ago?
No, 3 or 4 now.
We probably should have talked about it in the intro, but I just trained and ran a 25K.
Oh, nice. Yay.
with to get back into running.
Yeah.
Running is my therapy. I love it. It's part of my
Yeah.
self-care. It's
Love
me
it.
taking time away from life. But I, of course, had some extra weight on, which we've also talked about on the show. I'm not
Yes.
shy about this stuff. The scale did not move.
Yeah.
And I am running. I mean, I'm running 10
Well, you did
plus
yesterday
months.
too, even.
Yeah, I
You've
mean, I'm trying to
continued
get back
run.
in.
Right.
Of course. That was the point, was to jumpstart it and have a race to train for. I'm saying I'm running extreme distance.
Yeah.
It's those 5 items.
Those
I
5
know
items.
that it is.
Oh, it is,
because
for
I've
sure.
put the exercise back on, and yet things are still too tight.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm 44.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... It is different. So here, you ladies, 20s, 30s, and 40s, there you go, right? We just gave it to you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get to your 50s, and you need Kwavi. And I will. I'm going
Yes.
to be one of your
Yeah.
clients. I'm
All right.
certain.
Well, I'm going to interject
You
here.
go.
Of course, like I said,
Okay,
I'm
go
the
ahead.
guy here, but this is geared at least more towards women, the topic itself. And a lot of things you've said have already kind of hit home with me as well. But I'm thinking of the word selfishness. And that is, why do women feel that all this is being selfish, when in reality, the term selfishness can have a good connotation. Many times we always throw the negative connotation to it. So I'm talking the good selfishness.
Yeah.
Why do many women have a hard time with that?
And you're right, selfish is good. But I think society has kind of thrown it out there that it's bad. And also, I think as girls, we're taught to always give, like, from childhood. And so we've grown up with that. And so when you try to do things for yourself, it's almost like, oh, you're being selfish.
Right.
Be nice. It's not about that. Like, as you get older, you really have to put a priority on yourself, or else you can't even give. Think about it. So if I don't take care of myself, I'm probably giving you 80% of myself, 70% of myself, 60%. I want to give you 100% of myself. And the only way I can do that is by taking care of myself first. I can't give you 100% of myself if I don't do that.
Yeah,
So-
and I said women, but you're preaching to me too. I'm
I
listening
know,
to everything
I know.
you're saying.
No, I think it's for everyone, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That's advice for all. All right. So
Yeah.
breakdown. Tell us your self-care.
Okay. And this is the other thing. I'm not doing this to compare myself with anyone else, because sometimes we can go down that compare and despair road. This is what I do. And so if there's something amongst what I share that sparks something for you, then that'd be great. So I wake up really early. I go to bed early. I'm not a night owl. So I'm up at 4:35 a.m. That's me. I'll say my prayers, I'll meditate, I'll do a devotional, and then I like to journal.
So I'm going to interject.
Yes.
Do you do that for self-care, or is that your natural rhythm?
That's for self-care. That's part of my self-care practices.
Okay.
Because when I don't do it, I feel like, oh, something's off.
But it becomes a natural rhythm though too, right?
Yes. Yeah, because eventually
It's
that's
the routine.
That's your routine.
Okay. So it was self-care. You said, I want to wake up and have this amount of time to do all this for me
Yes.
before the day even starts.
And I like doing it because everyone else is asleep. So it's just like, oh, this is my time. So it's really exciting for me. And then I love to journal. I write down my thoughts daily. Like, I like to just get everything in my brain and put it on paper and see how I'm thinking. That's a way for me to evaluate my thoughts. So I do that. And that's like, first thing in the morning, that's the first thing I do. I love to go work out. And I used to be a runner. I don't run anymore. My knees started hurting, and I recognize, and that's the other thing, ladies and men that are listening, pay attention to your body. Your body talks to you all the time. Sometimes you ignore it, but your body talks to you for a reason. And for me, it was my knees would hurt whenever I would run. I used to run marathons, but eventually I would have this pain. I'm like, okay, Kwavi, this is your body telling you you need to stop running and start walking. And now I just do a lot of weight training. And so I'll do that. And that's, that's like my morning routine. And then I get into my work. Sleep is a big thing for me. I love my sleep. And I think it's really important as we get older that our bodies crave sleep. And that's, another part of my self-care practices. And I like to take time out for myself. I have no qualms. My kids could be there. I'm like, you know what? Mom needs a bit of time to herself. I have no issues doing that.
Because when you come back, now you're 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that, and my kids know that, and they know when I haven't had myself. They'll like, "What's wrong,
Mom? Why don't you go rest for a little bit?"
Because they can tell the expression, like, "Mom, what's wrong?" I'm like, "Okay, I just need some time."
Oh, I love that. Well, do you want to dig in
Well,
here, Derek?
I knew it was going to
waiting
evolve
for
back
it.
to me. I mean,
It's not. It doesn't have to. We
But-
have put you in the hot seat enough, and this is a women's show, so I do not have to pick on you. I will just say, in our relationship and becoming a couple, and
Yes.
as much as we are blending, I have recognized that Derek being in his 50s, and it's a little bit of what would happen to a woman, because your situation is so unique. Most men do not find themselves with a 4 and 7-year-old alone with full custody, without a mother figure present. And so you really I'm getting tongue tied on the word. Selflessly put your life aside and raised your kids. And so now they are grown and gone, and you are having trouble with that rewiring that we were talking about. So I know, Kwavi, even when we were working on the show, you had made some notes and some things that you had said to me. It's a reprogramming.
Oh, for sure.
Right? It's not a doing, it's a thought process. And so I'm going to let you speak to Derek and kind of tell us how that works.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can make a few small changes here and there, but it's a whole mindset change.
Yes, it is. Because your brain has been doing the same thing over and over again for a long time. And the brain is efficient. The brain is designed to be efficient. I'll give you an example. A few months ago, we moved. And I'd done my nails. I was driving in the car, got in my car, and we had moved probably like 6 months prior to that. I was driving in the car, and I got 10 minutes before my old house, before I realized, where am I going? And I share this to say that our brain is, and I had lived in that house for like 15 years.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this because our brain is programmed to be efficient. So it goes with what it knows. And even though I had moved 6 months prior, my brain was like, oh, we're going home. It's like the home that we know 15 years ago. And so you haven't practiced self-care for so many years. And so your brain is just going with what it knows. It's like, okay, I'm going to be efficient. I'm just going to do, what we've been doing in the past. And so in order for you to change that, you have to intentionally and actively change it and realize that your brain is not going to be on board in the beginning. And you have to recognize that, but still do it anyway. And over time, then your brain will like, oh, okay, now we can do this. But it takes intentional action to do it.
Oh, I get it. Well, my kids are now 19 and 22, and both about to have birthdays, and will be 23 and 20. And again, they were with me since they were 4 and 7. But the unique position I'm in, Lita's kids are much younger. They're 9 and 12. And so I'm kind of going back in time to experience life with a second parent in a home. Of course, I'm taking on the step parent role in this situation, but it's unusual because I still am programmed to think, okay, wash the dishes, cook the dinner, make sure the clothes are washed. And I don't do all those things now, but in my mind, I'm still thinking all those things. I need to go and do this. Oh, wait, she's got this tomorrow. He's got that tomorrow. Are we ready for it? And I mean, Lita's looking at me right now, and I don't make their lunches, but I feel like if she didn't do it, I would have done it and not thought twice about it.
Well, he was a mom, dad.
Yeah.
He was mom and dad. And that's amazing.
I had to do all those things.
But it's a
Check
whole
homework and wash
rewiring,
clothes.
because now at 54, and I say we because his kids are on my bandwagon.
Yes.
We're we are pleading with him. And his son will basically yell at him, Dad, take care of yourself. Slow down. You're doing too much. All of that. I mean, and so I'm not the only one. And I think he's tired of all of us nagging at him, but it's your family. Like, we're saying this out of love, right? We're 10 years apart in age. I want you to be there. And if you don't practice any self-care, you're not going to, I got 10 years. You got 10 years on me. I got 10 years below you. So again, there's fear in it that drives us to, kind of hound you about it a little bit, but it's because we love you.
Yeah.
You know that, right? So
I was going to say, and that's really common. I've heard a lot of moms say that their kids are telling them. In fact, some of them come to me. They're like, you know what? My kid said I just need to get a life coach because I need to get my life in order, because they're not doing it. And so, but then again, I think in your defense, you probably don't know how. It's like, what does that mean?
I mean, during the course of time when I was with my kids, I was a partner at a law firm working 70 plus hours a week and still having to do all those things.
Wow.
Now I own my own firm and I run my own firm, and Lita and I have a business together. So I still have all the responsibilities that I've had. And of course, my kids, like I said, are 19 and 22. But yet it doesn't mean that I still don't feel like I've got to be dad to them and still worry about them and think of things I need to do for them. Because, again, I've been programmed that I'm it. They need me.
But also, too, it's it's something for you to recognize that you can do all of that and still take care of yourself, because sometimes we think it's one or the other. You can actually do both. Yeah.
He's nodding, and that is it right there. I mean, that is the whole point of this show in a nutshell. You just spoke to every woman who is grabbing all of this and nodding.
By talking to a man, you've just reached.
That's really interesting. Yes. Yes.
That's the irony
Thank
of it.
you. That's the irony
But it
of
goes
it.
back to what I said, though. A lot of what you've said hits home with me personally, as it does, I'm sure, with most every lady that's listening, that there are a lot of guys, not just me, that are probably thinking the same thing. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
All right, Kwavi, I know
Yes.
from being at events with you that you don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And there is a story there. Will you share that story with us?
Yes. I noticed about 4 years ago that whenever I would drink alcohol, my menopausal symptoms would go like, I would probably like 10x in severity whenever I would drink alcohol. It would just be
Really?
a sip, seriously. And so I started noticing the correlation, and I'm like, you know what? This is not worth it. And that's how I gave up alcohol. And people are like, really? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I couldn't, to me, it wasn't worth it. And
See,
so
I
gave
think
it up.
it's almost, and I'm going from my friends who, I'm having a hot flash, or they're the hormones or the depression, so they drink more.
No.
And you're saying that could
No, that-
was making it worse.
It could probably make it worse. And just pay attention. I think that's the key. Be aware, like when you do drink it, what's happening to you? Like, do you notice your symptoms change? Does it get more severe? Or, just pay attention. Because a lot of women have noticed. I've spoken to a lot of women who've felt the same way. And like, they give up alcohol for that reason. Or some drink it and just know, okay, I know if I drink it, this is what's going to happen. Because it's, you don't have to give it up. You just be more aware.
Wow. Was it making, and I'm going to specific symptoms, hot flashes or
Yes.
night sweats or
night
all
sweats
that?
for me. And night sweats is really uncomfortable because you get night sweats, you wake up, in the middle of the night, you have to change your clothing because you're soaking wet. And for me, it was like, I need my sleep. And I was like, not doing that.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
It's not worth
It's
a
not worth
glass of
it.
wine or
It's not-
whatever it might
whatever
be.
it is. For me, it
So-
was mojito. I loved mojitos.
There's somebody else at this table. I'm not pointing at Lita right now. Maybe I am pointing at her that also likes mojitos.
Yeah.
So I miss
once in a
that.
while on a vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's
I mean,
the thing.
yes.
I miss, even my kids were like, Mom, so you're not going to have mojitos on the beach? And I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, no. Because I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I work out. I mean, that's the epitome of self-care. And I
Well,
love that.
speaking of self-care,
Yeah.
you've kind of avoided the spotlight here. It's time for you. What
I
are
like
your-
to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, I
more.
know. And now I'm turning the
Because
table.
I can shake my finger when we're on air, but when we're not, you don't want to hear it
Yes,
from
and
me.
even when we walk
So-
in the parking lot, you can still shake your finger at me and
I
say
know.
you need to go on self-care.
I just
But
said
let's
I
talk
do it
about
with love.
you.
Okay.
Yes, you do. But let's talk about your self-care.
I love self-care. And this
Yay.
is something that I am not guilty about taking. But that was programming, because I can't say that I haven't been. There have been times when, the kids need something. So let's go to the specifics of it.
Yes.
For me, my self-care, a big part of it is a nap. And I know that's like, I love to nap, but I don't need a long one. I do not have to go down for an hour. A nap for me resets from day to night.
Ooh, love it.
It does. And give me 20 minutes, give me 30 minutes. But if I've had a long day at work, even when I podcast, because we're on right now, I will go home and I will set an alarm. All I need is 30 minutes, but I can shut my mind down. I can close the day, and then I can be present for the night. But I've noticed when I don't take that, I slug through the night. I am not 100%. So just that, it's a mental shutdown.
I love it,
right?
though. A power nap.
It's
Love
almost
it.
not even about the sleep as it is for me, the reprogramming. But I will have to take some quiet time. Sometimes I can't fit it in. But again, exercise, running. And I think a few years ago, I really got away from most of my self-care. I'm a huge person that loves to meditate. I'm not a huge person. I'm a person who loves to pray. I love to meditate. I love to really get into that as self-care. I love to journal.
Yes.
So that as quiet time. And I had gotten away from it. I noticed my journal entries were getting further and further apart. And it was just out of busy. It was, I was now in a relationship, and I was a single mom at night and running multiple businesses. So my excuse was always time. There's not enough time. There's not enough time. But then I found I went to a doctor because I thought that I was physically sick, right? I was exhausted and the weight was coming on, and I went and saw a doctor, and I wasn't physically sick. I was stress sick. And I remember that was real eye-opening for me, and we've talked about it on a previous show, so I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it's because I wasn't practicing any self-care that the weight was coming on. I wasn't exercising, and the mind-body, there was no stress outlet. I wasn't journaling. I wasn't spending time in meditation and prayer. And all of a sudden, my stress level is a 10, and I'm thinking I'm doing myself favors. I'm going to work my way out of this. I'm just going to keep working. And the more that I work, I'll work through all this, then I'll have time. But that actually does not happen. It does not happen. I want to put a lot of exclamation marks on that. You just get busier, and then years go by and you've had no self-care, and then the weight is on and the stress is on, and now you're probably on high blood pressure meds. So, and I didn't have to go that route. I signed up for a race, put exercise back in. I'm journaling again, and I have made a conscious decision. I'm reading again every night. No TV. I'm trying to just read inspirational things.
That's good.
Just because that is my self-care. So anyway, that's my daily practices.
We need to start reading some wedding planner books. Just saying.
Okay.
Going back to the top of the show. A little bit of self-care in that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I can't believe how fast the show
Well, I know,
went.
I know,
I just
but-
looked at
but
the clock.
there
I
is-
could keep going forever, and we have more to cover.
But there is a very important topic I want to get to, and I want to ask the question here because we've talked before the show, and I know you do some very cool and different things, including hosting wellness retreats for women over 50. You're headed to Greece this summer. Can you tell us about those retreats? And besides Greece, what else is coming up, or where else have you been before?
All right, so I love the retreats. I just think it's a great way for women to just go away. And it's interesting. A lot of women have said, why don't you do your retreats within the United States? I'm like, no. The reason why I don't do them is because while it's here, the women still feel a connection to spouse, kids, pets. I want them to be far away where they can focus on themselves. And so, yes, we are going to Greece in September. It was supposed to be last year, but because of COVID, we moved it. We've been to Morocco. We've been to Bali. We've been to Thailand.
Wow.
And it's just a place. What I do is I want the women to just, all they need to do is just get to the airport. That's all they need to do. I give them a packing list. They're picked up once they get to the location, and they are pampered from beginning to end. And it's just all about them. We do coaching. We do adventures. They get to really focus on themselves in a way they haven't done in a long time. And it's interesting, when the women first arrive, you can tell they're still a little stressed. I'm like, oh, what's this all about? And then by day 2 and by day 3, they are like in it, because we get a private chef. If you have dietary requirements, it's all taken care of. If you want coffee in your room at 7 a.m., they'll bring all that to you. And then by day 7, which is the day they're leaving, they're like, seriously, I have to go back to my life?
Can I extend?
Oh, I want to go.
Well, I want to go. I want to go.
No.
I'll, like I told her before the show, I'll carry the bags. I'll drive the car.
Maybe you should do a couples retreat sometime.
I've thought about that,
because
though.
your husband wants to come.
He's been saying,
See?
my husband has been saying he wants to go. And I've thought about that.
Okay.
That might be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and I'll go do some self-care on a golf course
That's
somewhere.
right.
I mean, y'all could do your self-care, drinking your coffee. We'll be on the golf course.
Yeah.
And that's great. But the one in Greece, going to Greece, is sold out.
That one's sold out. Yes, that was sold out last year. So yeah,
Wow, that's
done.
amazing.
Yeah, and I have 2 coming up. So if you go to my website, which Lita will talk about later, that will show you the upcoming retreats. I haven't announced them
No,
yet.
set
I
it
announced
up.
them in June.
Tell them now.
So no one knows yet.
No,
announced them in June.
not about the dates.
Oh, the
Tell them your
website?
site.
Oh,
Tell everybody
okay.
how to find you.
Oh, so you can find me at kwavi.com. So it's www.kwavi, K-W-A, V as in Victor, I.com. And if you go to my website, you'll see information about my retreats and my coaching practices. Yeah.
Yay! All right, and Kwavi's here. But before we let you go,
Yes.
and we may end up needing to do another show on this, because this is such a big topic. It's such an important topic. It's a
Yes.
hard topic.
Yeah.
But you're very involved in a sex traffic prevention organization.
Yes.
Give us a brief on that. But again, we could do a show on that and how we can help. And
Yeah.
so anyway, go into that.
And so I work with an organization called Out of Darkness, where they rescue and they help women who, and actually men too, who are in self-trafficking. They help rescue them and restore them and, find ways for them to kind of transition back into society. And it's something I'm very passionate about. And actually in Georgia, it's a big problem in Georgia. And so it's just something I love doing. And maybe 2 years ago, I don't know if you were there, I even had a fundraiser, and I was going to do one last year also, but because of COVID. Yeah. And I'm just finding ways to help them. So we pray for them. We actually go out to the scenes where they are, like if it's the clubs and wherever they are, and just pray for them and just offer them an opportunity to be rescued, because we can't force them. They have to make that decision on their own, but we kind of give them that, support and let them know that we're available to help them when need be.
Tragic. I've heard that Atlanta is one of the most prominent places in the U.S.
It is because of the airport.
Yeah, Hartsville-Jackson, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a lady come in my store a couple weeks ago, and she said, of course, Hartsfield was the number one place, and the second place in the state for sex trafficking is the Mall of Georgia, which is up my way.
Yes, Gwinnett. Yes, they talk about that. Gwinnett County.
Yep.
Yeah,
which is scary. I mean, that's a place that, we have frequented. But anyway, like I said, much more to unpack with that as a topic and the different organizations and the ways to help.
Well, thanks again, Kwavi, for being here today. I do want both of you to tell everyone how to find you, your social media, your website. Kwavi, we'll start with you, and I know you've mentioned it, but let's do it again, and then we'll go with Lita and let her talk about hers.
Yeah, so my website is www.kwavi, KWAV.com. I'm also on Instagram, Kwavi_TV, and I'm also on TikTok. And that's, and that's Kwavi_TV.
And your videos are so fun. The dance, and she is showing all you ladies 50 and over, all of us, because I'm not 50 and I follow you, and I think it is so fun.
Well, before you give your stuff, you've been on her show before.
I have. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been on your show. Yeah. It's when I had COVID.
Right.
So we've definitely been able to work together a little bit.
Yes.
But I can't wait to do one of your retreats. Yes. I'm going to be listening and have to grab a spot when you make the announcement in June. So everyone, if you're listening, check out her websites. And no matter when you're listening, you may listen to the show in a year, and she may have all new retreats. So podcasts live forever.
Yay.
That's right.
All right, go to my social media, Status Life with Lita. That is the website. That's the blog. You can listen to any of the shows and the podcasts on any podcast app. So whatever you like, we are taping here at Gwinnett Business RadioX. But you can go to Apple, Spotify, anything. Find it on my website. I feel like I'm pretty easy to find. Just Status. All my businesses are Status. Status Life with Lita on Instagram, on Facebook, and the website. And that's my email, statuslifewithlita@gmail.com. If you have any questions for Kwavi, of course, she gave how you can email her directly or communicate with her, but we can bring her back for another show. So, send the DMs, send the things. Hey, that was fantastic. We want to hear your comments and your response. We can grow from that. We can, again, build another show. We do question and answer shows every so often, but there is a lot. I mean, we basically have scratched the surface on self-care.
You're right about that. We could have gone on for another hour.
You can. I mean, I looked at the clock in 40 minutes. So
it's over.
I know. All right. So everybody, Kwavi, me, Derek, thank you.
Thank you. And I've said this before. You've had other women from the Best Self magazine group and other women on different topics. And this is another example of empowered women empowering women. And it's terrific to have you here. I learned a lot. I'm sure all the ladies listening did as well. And Mike in the studio, he seems to be shaking his head every time I say something as if it touches a point with him as well.
It does. He's nodding.
I can't see him directly today, but I can assure you he's probably taken a lot from this as well. Well, thank you again so much for listening and joining us on Status Life with Lita, presented by Status Home Design and the law office of Derek M. Hayes. Don't forget that you can enjoy any of our episodes anytime by visiting BusinessRadioX.com, selecting the Gwinnett Studio, and then clicking on Status Life with Lita. This program is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast app. Until next time, for Lita Brooks, I'm Derek Hayes, and you've been listening to Status Life with Lita on Business Radio X.